Hope you're having a good day today. Appreciate you joining me. We're going to be looking at the account of when the woman was caught in adultery and brought to Jesus. Our hymn today is called Something for Thee.
Savior, thy dying love thou gavest me, nor should I aught withhold, dear Lord, from thee. In love my soul would bow, my heart fulfill its vow. Some offering bring thee now, something for thee.
Thank you, Lee. Verse 2, O'er the blessed mercy seat pleading for me, my feeble faith looks up, Jesus, to thee. Help me the cross to bear, thy wondrous love declare, some song to raise or prayer, something for thee. Give me a faithful heart, likeness to thee, that each departing day henceforth may see some work of love begun, some deed of kindness done, some wanderer sought and won, something for thee. All that I am and have, thy gifts so free, in joy and grief through life, dear Lord, for thee. And when thy face I see, my ransomed soul shall be, through all eternity, something for thee. We're in John chapter 8 at verse 2. Now early in the morning he came again into the temple, and all the people came to him, and he sat down and taught them. Then the scribes and Pharisees brought to him a woman caught in adultery, and when they had set her in the midst, they said to him, Teacher, this woman was caught in adultery in the very act. Now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned, but what do you say? This they said, testing him, that they might have something of which to accuse him. But Jesus stooped down and wrote on the ground with his finger, as though he did not hear. So when they continued asking him, he raised himself up and said to them, He who is without sin among you, let him throw a stone at her first. And again he stooped down and wrote on the ground. Then those who heard it, being convicted by their conscience, went out one by one, beginning with the oldest even to the last. And Jesus was left alone, and the woman standing in the midst. When Jesus had raised himself up and saw no one but the woman, he said to her, Woman, where are those accusers of yours? Has no one condemned you? She said, No one, Lord. And Jesus said to her, Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. I don't know how you are, but frankly, I had forgotten in this account where it takes place. In my mind, and I think it's because of the part in there where it says he stooped down and wrote on the ground. And I usually visualize this account happening outside. And, a lot of the accounts happen outside. So I thought this was outside. This is not outside. This is in the temple. This is the house of God. And all the people came to him, and he sat down and taught them. And so I was thinking about the house of God here and how the scribes and the Pharisees are treating it, and the audience, if you will. And so there in verse 2, there's all sorts of people here. Now, why had they come to the house of God? Well, they had come to learn. Jesus sat down and he taught them. Jesus, Rabbi, what must we do? And he taught. Whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will tell you what he is like. Jesus was a teacher, and people came to him to learn. People came to the house of God to learn. But now we have the scribes and the Pharisees. They also came to the house of God. Now, why did they come to the house of God? It was not because they really cared about this woman. She was just a pawn. It was not because they really cared about the law. If they did, they would have brought the man too. It was because they were testing him, according to verse 6, that they might have something of which to accuse him. That was their agenda. That is why they came to the house of God. You know, people have different reasons for coming to the house of God. Some people come to the house of God to worship. Jesus cleanses the temple of the money changers. Some people came to the house of God to make money. Some people came to the house of God to make usury of their brethren. That still happens. It still happens. These people, they came to the house of God for their own agenda. It still happens. Now, as Jesus does what he does and says what he says, back to the passage, what effect did this have on everybody? And we'll add one more. Why did the woman come to the temple? She somewhat came unwillingly, didn't she? She was brought to the temple. You know, I think that happens as well. Sometimes people are just brought to the house of God. You might think about spouses that are not Christians, children that are not Christians, younger children, who are being brought. Frankly, if you gave every 2 or 3-year-old a vote about whether they wanted to go to church on a Sunday, you say, would you rather go to church or would you rather stay at home in your pajamas and watch cartoons? What are the 2 or 3-year-olds going to say? That's why they don't get a vote. They're brought. They're brought. And sometimes people are brought to the house of God against their will. And so back to the account, it doesn't really matter whether you came there to learn, whether you came there with an agenda, or whether you came unwillingly. At the end of the day, if you're listening to what Jesus is saying, you're going to be convicted. If you're listening, you're going to be convicted. Those who came there to learn, when Jesus says, whoever is without sin, let him cast a stone first, there were people there who had no part in what the Pharisees were doing, but they were still listening. And so when Jesus said, he who is without sin, let him cast a stone, I think those people were convicted in their conscience too. I think the woman, when she heard Jesus say that, I think she was convicted in her conscience. And obviously those who brought the woman, they were convicted in their conscience. It doesn't matter why they were in the house of God. When the truth is spoken, it convicts. You might think about it. And so we come to the Lord. At least hopefully we come to the Lord in conviction. Convicted by our own conscience. All have sinned and come short of the glory of God. And we need the Lord's mercy. It's the only way anyone is going to be saved. It's through the Lord's grace and mercy. Appreciate you. Hope you have a good day. Join us tomorrow for another portion of our daily praise.